Hello everybody, this is Tim here again, here another movie review. This time for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Now, the first Doctor Strange, I gave it like a 3 out of 4. I thought it was average. I've pretty much reviewed all the Marvel properties except for like What If, which I'm not sure if I'm going to bother with that or not. But anyway, just to get in the Multiverse of Madness, I will say this: it's an improvement over the first movie. Most of Phase 4 of Marvel movie-wise has just kind of been hit or miss. It's just kind of been average to like passable, like Shang-Chi and Black Widow. But the TV series, the streaming shows, have actually been pretty good and mostly good in quality. This film, I will say, is the second best of the Phase 4 movies thus far. I would give it a solid 3 out of 4. This is a good movie. It's not a great movie, but it is a good movie. Pretty much, you got Doctor Strange in here, and you got this girl named American Chavez or America Chavez. The girl's character, the actress is doing a good job, but her character is really weak. She's only okay. She's mostly just a plot device in it because she has the ability to like travel to different dimensions and alternate realities or whatever. And Scarlet Witch is the villain. They make her straight up psychopathic, maybe actually too psychopathic, because there's like no real middle ground with her. I mean, she is a straight villain. They try to explain it a little bit by saying that she's overwhelmed by the power of the dark hole or whatever that has taken control of her, but it's very wishy washy. She's pretty much a straight up psychopath through the whole movie. And there are some plot holes here with other stuff this connects to, like WandaVision. I appreciate that it does connect to WandaVision, but at the same time, she really wants her kids back. So why doesn't she just go off and find that version of Vision that had his memories brought back and just sleep with him and have kids? It really doesn't make any sense. It's an obvious plot hole. They just want you to kind of forget about it. And it is weird that Paul Bettany's Vision character doesn't pop up in here at all. That was very weird. Benedict Cumberbatch does a good to great job in here. He's much more relaxed as Doctor Strange here. Probably his best Doctor Strange performance, honestly, I think. Sam Raimi does a good job directing. This movie has moments of greatness, like when they're flying through all the multiverse and everything, and they're going to like different versions of themselves and all that, like liquid, and sometimes they look just like pure ink and everything else and animated. It's really cool. You get some cameos here, like Professor Xavier and stuff, and Mr. Fantastic, played by John Krasinski, which he'll probably end up being Mr. Fantastic in the inevitable Fantastic Four movie that's coming out. Um, he does a good job. There are some, like I've mentioned already, there's some problems here. Scarlet Witch is just way too psychopathic compared to how, and she's pretty much redoing the same arc that she had in WandaVision, like all over again, which is a mistake. It's kind of lazy. Um, when you get to the movie, though, the biggest problem here is it feels really condensed. Like, I can see some people maybe not enjoying this movie just because they got it so hyped up in their heads because they're like, Multiverse of Madness is going to be this big epic. And it is kind of epic at points, but overall, it's really Doctor Strange 2, is what it is. And that's might disappoint some people because, and that I do feel like that does weaken the movie a bit because this movie really could have been, because of the scope of the story, it really could have been like an Infinity War Endgame, two-parter type thing instead of just a one sequel thing. Bruce Campbell has a really funny cameo. It's kind of a callback to Evil Dead 2, where his like hand gets possessed or whatever, and he starts like beating himself up. Here he tries to like squirt mustard in Doctor Strange's eyes. It's pretty funny, and he starts beating his own stuff up. It's a pretty funny scene. And then at the end credits, the main after credits scene is him like saying it's over finally, like he's not possessed anymore. And it's actually an in joke because he's talking about the fact that the movie's over. The mid credits scene is set for Doctor Strange 3 with Charlize Theron's character showing up as like this witch wizard type chick who like says is like, "Come with me, Doctor Strange. There's new shit afoot." And they like she slashes her way into another dimension and they take off heading that way. And her character in the comics actually becomes like Doctor Strange's wife, I'm pretty sure, which so that makes sense they would include her because most of these Marvel characters only have like 3 movies as a trilogy, except for Thor, who's getting 4. I have no idea why. You really could have just stopped at Thor Ragnarok, but the trailer, newest trailer for Thor 4 does look pretty good. But yeah, it's just the biggest problem with the movie, like I said, is it's a little bit too condensed. Um, like you got Professor Xavier and stuff that shows up, played by Patrick Stewart, who's not the one from the X-Men films who dies in Logan. This is like just another alternate universe version of Professor X, also played by Patrick Stewart. And he shows up. He gets like he shows up with this group called the Illuminati or whatever, which has got like an alternate version of Captain Marvel and other people. And he's the one that gets like the most screen time and the longest sequence. and then he ends up getting like his neck snapped by Scarlet Witch, who's the villain, which they kind of underused him. He does get the most screen time of the Illuminati, and they do show that he's a good guy. But he's still underused. Like this being, the multiverse of madness, you expect like even a more epic story. Like it would have been cool if he would have like teamed up with Doctor Strange and like maybe went with him and stuff and helped him like stop Scarlet Witch by the end. How they eventually stop Scarlet Witch is pretty much you do get a really cool like action sequence at the end where they're in an alternate universe and Doctor Strange is to fight an evil version of himself, and he's fighting him, and they're making like musical notes come to life in like kind of like a 3D type sequence, and they're throwing it at each other. Uh, Pretty cool fight scene, good special effects. Like I said, Sam Raimi does a good directing job here. This is better than Doctor Strange Part 1, but the story is much more interesting than the first Doctor Strange. So Sam Raimi had the better deal here with this one than Scott Derrickson had with the first film, and I also think Sam Raimi is a better director than Scott Derrickson, at least so far. Um, Scott Derrickson, I think, is probably better at smaller scale stories like Sinister and stuff. But yeah, you get to the ending action sequence, and it is really cool. Doctor Strange possesses like a dead alternate version of himself, and you get Zombie Strange, straight up Sam Raimi's alley. And he comes and like commands the spirits of the dead. Really cool horror sequence. I will say this film is much more of a Sam Raimi movie than an MCU movie, and depending on how you feel about that, that's either going to be a good thing or a bad thing. Um, Personally, the MCU formula is kind of tired, but at the same time, though, them giving Sam Raimi more control here, it um sometimes it does hurt the film slightly, but not. But overall, I think it does benefit the movie. This is easily better than Spider-Man 3. It's not as good as Spider-Man 1 and 2, but it's easily better than Spider-Man 3. This is a good, fun movie. Like I said, it has some plot holes and some story holes, but overall, it is a good movie and a fun movie. I watched it. I think this is easily a good watch for a weekend, like a matinee price. Easily a 3 out of 4 or a 7 out of 10 if you want to go that way. It's a fun movie. Not as good as Spider-Man Far From Home, I don't think. It doesn't use the multiverse as well as that film or as expansive as that movie did, but it still does a good job with it. Um, but yeah, you expect something more epic out of this, and for some people that may be a deal breaker. But for me, as Doctor Strange 2, I think this is a good film. And by the time you get to the end, America Chavez like knocks Scarlet Witch into an alternate dimension or whatever, where she does get to see her kids, and her kids pretty much hate her guts because they see how evil she's become. So she vows to like destroy all the dark holds and all the different universes, and she kills herself and brings down this big like castle or whatever dedicated to her and takes herself out. Her character feels complete here with this movie, but the way they kill her off and everything, where you don't see a body, it really gets the feeling that yeah, they're gonna bring her back. I don't see how you can redeem this character though. She massacres like multiple innocent people. I mean, the only way you could really redeem that is if she comes back and does like some spell where she brings back to life all the people that she killed. But then by the end, she would probably just end up sacrificing herself again, so it'd just be kind of another repeat of this movie and her arc here. So it would be kind of pointless. So yeah, overall, they need to leave her dead. I really hope they don't bring her back. I know Elizabeth Olsen has talked about wanting to come back for an X-Men movie. I get why she wants to, but at the same time, it ain't needed. Her character feels complete here. There's no reason to bring her back. I really hope they don't. But yeah, um, there are some rewrites from what was in the first Doctor Strange to this one. Like Rachel McAdams' character in the first one was kind of like a love interest, a semi love interest, but it never felt like they really had like a huge connection. Here they've completely rewrote it to where he like can't live without her. It actually works better here than what it did in the first movie, but it's a complete retcon. They did the same thing in an alternate universe episode of the show What If, which I had seen every episode of. Um, and that was probably to prepare people for this movie. But yeah, they completely retcon it. They did not have this close of a connection in that first flick. Rachel McAdams was like barely in that first movie. They do much better by her character here, though. Yeah, overall, 3 out of 4, good movie, good fun flick. Definitely worth a weekend watch if you're a fan of Marvel or the MCU or just want to watch a popcorn blockbuster movie. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you again.